question. The master in man who superintends the building up of the organism is what supplies every organ with that which it needs. That was from Paracelsus, Life of Paracelsus. Yes. Who is the master in man? There was a little more here. The master in man, the spiritual power of concentration, cannot then be there superintending this function of the building up the organism when a meal proceeds on those lines of thoughtless automatism is what the statement was. Yeah. So, when we prepare the food, what should be our attitude? It should be that we joyously prepare it for the consumption of the whole family. It is not a tedious effort. In the olden days, when this student was coming up, the mother, the grandmother, all of the females were in the kitchen, and it was such a joyous, festive atmosphere in there. They were talking very little, but everybody knew what was expected of them. Some chopped, some stir-fried, and they prepared the meal for the whole extended family. Back then, the families were not just the parents and the kids. The grandparents were there, the uncles and the aunts, everybody kind of dropped in, and nobody was turned away. Everybody sat at the meal and shared it, and it was truly a festive atmosphere which lacks. And it says somewhere else I read that if we sit at the dinner table and all the kids are bickering with one another, which is very disruptive, there's no harmony at the table, we can't digest anything. We're supposed to be harmonious and concentrating on the inner lines of our being for the master to be present, because without the vital airs we're not digesting anything either. It goes in, but it will not be digested. Yes?
Isn't that what is probably meant when it says invite Krishna into your food, invite Krishna into your eating, that you're inviting love and harmony into the atmosphere?
Yes, but besides that, we need to remember that one life is everywhere. It's ubiquitous. So it's present. Whether we acknowledge it or not, it's there. But to acknowledge it is to raise it. Because if the one life is there, consciously acknowledge, you're upraising and feeding all of nature, not just yourself. Because why? We're connected. We're interconnected to every part of nature. You acknowledge the sacrifice of the lower kingdom, and by this sacrificial attitude you have in you while you're taking this food in a harmonious, peaceful manner, you are giving part of it to the gods. It's not that you prepare the food and go put it in front of a picture, but on the inner lives of your being, you're consecrating it as you eat it to a higher purpose. This is the meaning of sacrifice. That we do not chatter our energies away, that we be respectful and talk as little as possible while we eat it slowly and harmoniously, because our lives are so action-packed that we are all kind of at our wits' end by the time we end up at the end of the day. And the peacefulness is not there in a lot of families. People come and say to me, my home life is so chaotic. Can you please make some suggestions to make it peaceful? This is a truly needed change in this direction, because it says once that theosophical students understand the importance of it and they imprint the akasha with their thoughts and attitudes and intent in that direction, it becomes a precedence. Mr. Judge has an article called Living the Higher Life, and in that it is also explained that all these beings called Gnanis, wise beings, have departed from our world because the nephetic atmosphere of the earth is not conducive to their well-being. How do we invite them back, he says? By living a pure life, raising our children in a harmonious atmosphere, in a pure attitude and manner, so that purer beings can incarnate through them. So this attitude needs to be cultivated and carried out in practicality, that we raise our children in this fashion to enable these great beings to come. And there was an article by not HPB, about her initiative. What should I? Damodar. Damodar Malavankar was one of her students, and he was from a family of Brahmins. At 16, he came to the Theosophical movement in India, met the leaders, and his life changed forever after that moment. He read the whole secret doctrine and devoted the rest of his life to the promulgation of Theosophy, the truth. What happened was that his father and uncle also joined the Theosophical Society and approved of it. But he understood what he had to sacrifice, and he sacrificed his caste. He said the caste system in India is not in its true representation, and he said, I'm no longer a Brahmin. When he did that, he lost his family, because his father and uncle got very upset and walked off the Theosophical movement. But nevertheless, and I will read to you from here. It says, is the price any less today, or is it paid without heroics and without resentment by each one who stands for Theosophy impersonally, fearlessly, and wholly? Theosophy, as it permeates the life of a man, withers all desire for personal profit, material comfort, or private spiritual gain. The Theosophist has no rights to claim, he has only duties to discharge, and discharging them with knowledge and responsibility, he finds the path of sacrifice opening in front of him. There is no duty nobler than self-sacrifice, HPB taught, and she lived that life as she taught it.
Was that a quote from HPB?
Yes.
Where is that quote located?
The great sacrifice.
Where can I find that quote? You know? That was easy. Thank you.
You can have my article.
Thank you.
So, the path is written in exoteric and esoteric, because these books have different keys. As we cultivate our inner nature, more of what it means opens up in front of us. So without sacrifice, we cannot find the path, is what they're really saying. So we will be involved in it, but minimally. So until we wholly embrace it and do what we need to do, as Damodar did, because he became an adept in one life. He went to Tibet. We only know that he left all of his material belongings, and he was betrothed to marry a girl from childhood up, and he never did, but he gave all of his property rights to his father in her name, because she never married either, because she retained that purity on behalf of him. So these things will come to us too, that we're going to be asked to give all of it. Are we willing to do it? This is the test. When it comes, so we shall know. So if we are not prepared to do it, then we delay our entrance into that path. By the way, when I say that a statement, or when this student makes it a statement, it's a relative statement, because HPP everywhere says, those who are in the theosophical movement were in this movement before, and not to assume that we were not initiated in other lands, in other centuries, and that we did not serve. Regardless of how humble our circumstances and how much development our lower nature needs, that we were somewhere initiated in previous times. That we lost it, but now we are trying to regain it, is very evident, she says, from our attraction to it, because we lived it before. No one, she says, comes to this in one lifetime, regardless of how humble our circumstances are. And that ought to give us the impetus, the hopefulness that we are here for a purpose. And it is internal to each human being. This path we talked about is not external. We are not to go and put ourselves under the jurisdiction of some psychic power who's exhibiting itself through a human being, because the spiritual in us can only be cultivated through immense period of time and through dedication and self-induced, self-devised effort. Another person cannot do it for us, because our karma is particular to ourselves. But when we find ourselves all together, it means we were together before. And in this life, how we help in circumstances together now will determine what we shall be doing together in the future. We only grow in company of our associates, whether we know it or not. No one, she says, can accomplish this effort on their own. That the path is there. We are on it somehow, but we don't know it because internally we're not able to perceive it yet. But it is the obligation of each student to help the other. With that, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to continue after a short break for refreshments with our study of the Bhagavad Gita. If you are joining us by YouTube, we can be contacted through our website at www.ultdc.org or our telephone number at 656-3566, area code 301. Or better yet, come and see us. We're here every Sunday at 11 o'clock at 4865 Cordell Avenue, Suite 230. Thank you.